and months on the campaign trail coming to a head tonight. Voters here at home and across the nation lining up to make their voices heard. And very soon, we're going to start getting results in this big election. Thanks for joining us at 6 o'clock. I'm Cherie Palumbo.
And I'm Mike Dardis. Yeah, top of the ticket, of course, the race for the White House. Former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. They have made their final pitches to voters.
The polls in Kentucky and Indiana are closing right now, closing down. But here in Ohio, polls are still open. Voters, you have 90 minutes left until 7:30 tonight to weigh in on the races.
The people of Ohio now weighing in on that U.S. Senate race that could determine who controls the chamber. Incumbent and Democrat Sherrod Brown fighting to keep his seat as Republican businessman Bernie Moreno tries to take it away.
And we're also tracking a number of other races for you, impacting you across greater Cincinnati, from House seats to the county prosecutor, even the sheriff's race.
And we're leading the way with live team coverage, Commitment 2024 coverage tonight. Our crews are at polling spots and watch parties all across greater Cincinnati tonight. In the meantime, one of those polling locations, now the site, unfortunately, of breaking news. We're just learning that a polling location has been shut down.
Yeah, quite disruptive. Police telling us it was after an abandoned backpack was left near the polling site, which of course can be concerning. This all happening at the Church of Redeemer there on Erie Avenue at the Hamilton County Board of Elections, telling us that the polling location now has been evacuated. That's where we find, though, WLWT News 5's Sean McKinnon. And Sean, first of all, what's going on and what about the people who still need to vote there?
Hey, Cherie. So that location, like you said, was evacuated. People were redirected here to Knox Presbyterian Church. Go ahead and take a look. Not much of a line right now. Election officials say it's been smooth in the half hour since that happened. They say the whole ordeal lasted about an hour. Then after that, there was a bit of a half an hour backlog here where those voters were coming from one church to this. They got it all sorted out. It is going very smoothly here. And these two churches, they're only about a 2-minute drive, a 10-minute walk. Officials say there's a lot of polling locations in Hyde Park, so it was very easy to get this solved. So again, that bomb threat or that backpack left there, it is no more. It was all clear, and voters are redirected here now to Knox Presbyterian. Cherie.
Sean, thanks so much. And again, that happening at the Church of Redeemer earlier. Sean now at that new polling location. Turning now to the presidential race, Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance casting a vote today in the heart of East Walnut Hills at St. Anthony of Padua.
That's right. And WLWT News 5's Todd Dykes live right now from Vance's hometown of Middletown with J.D. Vance's message to voters today. Todd?
Yeah, Mike and Tree, J.D. Vance is confident that he and his running mate, former President Donald Trump, will emerge victorious when all the votes are counted. And that's the outcome that a whole lot of folks here in Vance's hometown of Middletown hope will certainly be the case. The Trump-Vance ticket not expected to have any trouble winning Ohio's 17 electoral college votes, but Vance is keenly aware that polls show things are much closer in a handful of those battleground states that we keep talking about, including states like Michigan and North Carolina. The 40-year-old senator is encouraging people to vote, and then along with the rest of the country, he'll be watching election results come in.
I certainly hope you vote for Donald J. Trump today. I think that his policies are going to promote peace and prosperity for our citizens. But if you vote the wrong way, in my view, I'm still going to love you. I'm still going to treat you as a fellow citizen. And if I am lucky enough to be your vice president, I'm going to fight hard for your dreams and for your family over the next 4 years.
Now, Vance is going to be monitoring the race tonight at Mar-a-Lago down in Florida with the former president. Here in Butler County, the local GOP party plans to have a big get-together at Lori's Roadhouse in Westchester. It's being called an election night celebration, and it's a free event. It starts at 7. We're going to be there, too, to keep track of how the night unfolds and get reaction from voters. For now, reporting live here in Middletown, Todd Dykes, WLWT News 5.
Oh, Todd, thanks so much. Now we want to get to that razor-thin race for that Ohio U.S. Senate seat. Republican Bernie Moreno trying to unseat the Democrat Sherrod Brown.
And once again, our team tracking this race very closely for you tonight. Our WLWT News 5's anchors Chris Jacobs and Ashley Kirkland, both live for us in Cleveland and Columbus tonight. We begin with Ashley Kirkland covering Senator Brown's campaign up there in Cleveland. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Cherie. Well, the outcome of this race could determine which party controls a closely divided Senate, and whether Brown secures a fourth term will really show the outcome for Ohio Democrats on what it will look like for them in a state that's become increasingly red over the past few elections. Right now, Sherrod Brown is the only Democrat in the state that is holding a statewide non-judicial position for Ohio. He told a group of reporters today that he believes he can do it again with the help of voters. Brown's opponent has criticized Brown's campaign strategy, saying he spent too much time in Cleveland and Columbus and has ignored Southwest Ohio. Well, today, Senator Brown saying Moreno simply cannot be trusted.
I've spent my whole career fighting for the dignity of work, and my opponent, I don't want to talk about him much on a sacred day like this, but my opponent stiffed his own workers out of $400,000, and I don't think you can really trust him to stand up for Ohio workers, and that's why this election is so clear and why we're going to win.
Right now we are live in Columbus and outside of the convention center where Senator Sherrod Brown will be holding his watch party. We'll be able to get in there a little later at 7:30, and we'll bring you all the latest updates, guys. Reporting live here in Columbus, Ashley Kirkland, WLWT News 5.
All right, so Ashley there in Columbus, and now to Republican newcomer and Trump-endorsed Bernie Moreno.
And WLWT News 5 anchor Chris Jacobs continues our coverage. He's in the Cleveland area right now, where Moreno holding the final night of his campaign. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, Bernie Moreno is expected to show up here in Westlake later tonight. It's about 30 minutes outside of Cleveland, but he did seem confident going into the night. And recent polls are showing the Ohio businessman either gaining ground or taking the lead against Brown. But there's still so much uncertainty. We've been talking about it. The polls are going back and forth, and they're all within the margin of error. Moreno is hitting Brown's campaign hard on transgender issues and border policy. He spoke at an event in Batavia this past weekend saying it's time for a change from the status quo.
This campaign comes down to a very simple idea. Sherrod Brown is just too liberal for Ohio. He's given us generationally high inflation. He's given us generationally high open border. He's given us generationally high instability all over the world. And at the same time, while he's been in D.C. for 30 years, it was 20 years before that in state government, we've lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs. It's time to cancel the Sherrod Brown show, put an outsider, a business person in D.C. that can fix the state.
And Moreno is still leaning into his endorsement from former President Trump. J.D. Vance saying earlier in Cincinnati that he hopes Moreno comes out with the victory. And that Trump endorsement is something that has yet to fail in the state of Ohio, going back to when he endorsed his now running mate in J.D. Vance. Reporting live in Westlake, Chris Jacobs, WLWT News 5.
All right, we'll be seeing a lot of both of them throughout the night. Chris, thank you. It is a busy day for Ohio voters. We've seen record turnout ahead of Election Day, and that high turnout is holding steady tonight.
The voters now have 84 minutes to make it to the polls in Ohio. And WLWT News 5's Rachel Hersheimer live tonight from Mount Auburn. And Rachel, how are things going?
Mike and Cherie, it has been busy at this particular polling location. Right now, we are at God's Bible College. I spoke with an election official just a few moments ago who said typically during a presidential race, they see about 800 voters, but so far they have seen more than 1,100 voters, and they do anticipate that number to continue to rise as the polls are still open until 7:30. It is a similar story in downtown Cincinnati at the Cincinnati Public Library. Things are running smoothly, but it has been busy. An election official said they have not seen a break in the line since the doors opened at 6:30 this morning. We are also seeing longer lines because it's a lengthy ballot. Remember, it's a 2-sheet ballot, 4 pages. It can take some time for people to fill it out. So that's also why some of the wait times may be a little longer than anticipated. Voters spoke with us about what their experiences were like when they were making their voices heard this election day.
So we actually got here around 8 a.m. And the line was wrapped around the corner. So we came back around 1 or 12:30, I think, and took about 15 minutes. Got in, did the ID thing, and then you go to the booth and fill it out, and that's it.
Today there's been a lot going on around, but honestly just walking here has not been super loud or gregarious, just people doing their thing.
So you have about an hour and a half left to make your voice heard on this election day in Ohio. If you don't know where your polling location is, you can always head over to the Ohio Secretary of State website for all of those details. We're live tonight in Mount Auburn. Rachel Hersheimer, WLWT News 5.
All right, Rachel, thank you. On the other side of the Ohio, the polls just closed in Kentucky a few minutes ago.
And WLWT News 5's Brian Hamrick has been out with the voters all day today. He joins us live tonight from Covington at the Kenton County Government Center with more. Hi there, Brian.
Yeah, Cherie, well, they just closed the polls here about 8 minutes ago. So we walked down the hallway here at the Kenton County Government Center to where they're tabulating the mail-in votes right now. So it's kind of a transition period. A lot of people were really surprised when they showed up at a lot of these polling places in northern Kentucky and there was little to no wait.
I was shocked. Last year I passed it up and came back on the other end, on the 6:30 end, to vote instead of waiting 2 hours in line last year. So this was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, many voters had the same experience. They planned to wait a couple of hours. They showed up. It was a matter of minutes. A couple of things at work here. First, early voting. That set record turnout for that kind of voting. The other part is that they doubled the number of poll workers at some of the busier polling places around the area. Steady stream of voters all day, and we even saw some future voters, a lot of kids out at the polls. So what's driving people? Of course, the presidential race was one of the factors. But we also talked to a lot of people who said these local races and the local issues were just as important. Reporting live, Brian Hamrick, WLWT News.